Hello, I'm Dango Rose. Welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. The Mountaineer brings you the latest news of the Peak to Peak region, in print, online, through our podcast, social media, and special publications. Now, listen in to the latest news of the area with our local journalists.
Well, slow your roll, Miss Anne Marie. I know the day is dark. He was the brightest boy, man to be, and it was he who had my heart.
The song that you are currently listening to is called Hail Mary, and it is by Derek Dane Zoll from his debut album, Someday I'll Be Happy and Rule This World of Mine, which came out on July 12th. You can stream it now wherever you get your music, and be sure to learn more about Derek Dane Zoll by going to his website at derekdanezollmusic, that's MUZAK.com, or by going to his social media, Derek Dane Zoll Music on Facebook, Derek Dane Zoll Music on Instagram, or Derek Dane Zoll on YouTube. You can also find other YouTube performances of his on the YouTube channels Through the Fence, Elevated Entertainment, and Netherland Community Library. And you can see him performing live in a show at Busey Brews, located at 70 East 1st Street in Netherland on Sunday, September 1st, 2024, starting at 2 p.m.
I give you all I got to live. For me, it's not a lie. Well, it hurts, but I will understand. Life writes its own plot. Not here.
Hello, everybody! My name is Jamie Lammers, and welcome to this week's Miscellaneous Monday edition of the Mountaineer Podcast, where we cover various topics from across the Peak to Peak area. Once again, I'm coming at you from a location out of state, so I apologize if I sound a bit different in this particular episode, as I am recording in a vastly different space, and I apologize if there's a lot of background noise, because cicadas are buzzing like crazy outside where I'm staying. Maybe it'll make some good ambiance, though. It gives me an idea for some editing choices. In the meantime, though, I've been particularly concerned about this episode because, for one, I am out of state, for two, I will likely be traveling home as you're hearing this, and for three, I have no interviews to speak of at this point in time. However, thankfully, we have a backup plan. You know those plans that I've been talking about for a couple episodes now? To reintroduce old segments and introduce new segments for the Mountaineer Podcast? Well, it's time for those plans to finally come to fruition. We've got a guest correspondent back with us that hasn't been with us for quite a bit of time, but she's back, and we are very happy to have her here. But before we get into her segment, it's time to announce the weekly movie at the Backdoor Theater. The movie that's showing at the Backdoor Theater this week is Deadpool and Wolverine, rated R. Here's the IMDb logline. Deadpool is offered a place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe by the Time Variance Authority, but instead recruits a variant of Wolverine to save his universe from extinction. If you want to see this exciting adventure in Netherland, then be sure to head to the Netherland Community Center on Friday, August 16th at 7 p.m. or on Saturday, August 17th for a 2 p.m. matinee or a 7 p.m. regular showing. Again, the Backdoor Theater is at the Netherland Community Center, located at 750 Colorado 72 in Netherland. All right, let's bring back a guest correspondent who we haven't heard from in quite some time, talking about events in the Peak to Peak area. Let's introduce her.
This is the Mountaineer Podcast, and I'm Maryann Rosen, bringing you stories, history, or lore from or about the mountains you live in. Halfway through August, and summer amusements continue, here in the Peak to Peak area. For those not ready to leave summer in the rearview mirror, even through September, there are many ways to have fun and several events coming up. There is certainly a lot of hiking and walking, with so many open spaces and local, state, and national parks and forests, including, but not limited to, Roosevelt National Forest, Arapahoe National Forest, Brainerd Lakes area, Indian Peaks Wilderness, and Caribou Open Space, comprising millions of acres. In addition to the abundance of hiking and walking trails, there are casinos, shopping, great restaurants, museums, art galleries, hot springs, scenic rides, and beautiful views. So many activities to choose from. Whether it is tours, history, mountain biking, running, nature, jazz, local beers, wine, festivals, or events that pique your interest, the Peak to Peak has you covered. August 17th gives you the choice of two very diverse activities. At 8 a.m. through Meetup, join others for a Level 7 intermediate group mountain bike ride traveling from the Moffett Tunnel East Portal through Rollinsville to Winter Park. The ride uses the railroad routes in use before the Moffett Tunnel opened in 1927. Do you feel up to biking 35.7 miles while climbing 3,233 feet? One can choose to get picked up in Winter Park or stay over and do the ride back to Rollinsville the next day. The same 35.7 miles with a 2,674-foot climb. Bring a great attitude, water, spare tubes, tools, and of course a bike in good working condition. If biking is not of interest, then later that day, head over to the Bonanza Casino in Central City, where they have brought back the Night of Good Fortune. Enjoy live music with a lineup including Los Alegres de la Sierra, La Fiebre del Sabor, and Nexus Rock, while savoring an array of culinary delights from food vendors such as Tacos El Divino, Spicy Mexican Catering, JKQ Barbecue, and Bombshells Food Truck. Quench your thirst with a variety of beverages. You can also take advantage of the casino's offerings if you so desire. Fun begins at 5 p.m. The following weekend, on August 24th, provides one with a very difficult choice, as there is not one, but two festivals to choose from, along with the 35th Annual Gilpin County Cemetery Crawl. If it is jazz and wine that you are fond of, head over to the Netherland Jazz and Wine Festival held at Chipetta Park from 11 to 5. This festival puts a slight twist on the typical wine festival by focusing on the complex harmonies and rhythms of jazz. Jazz and wine bring out the depth and richness in each other. Spend the day enjoying a variety of wines and 6 hours of continuous music. Dining is also available with great food provided by several food vendors and food trucks. They will be offering special food and wine pairings. Besides all of the regional wineries, there will be a few local cideries, meaderies, distilleries, and breweries, of which there are so many in the area. Music will be provided first by the Holly Tomlinson Band. Tomlinson is a Boulder native, was on the TV show The Voice, and is also an instructor at the School of Rock. Another Colorado band will also be performing. The Jeremy Money Trio is a top swing band playing tunes from the 20s, 30s, and 40s with infectious energy. They also play original songs. Nationally acclaimed Medianoche Honrado with special guest Steve Wilson will close out the festival. Inspired by Don Grolnick's 1996 Afro-Cuban hit jazz record Medianoche, the band pays tribute to the late legendary bassist Jimmy Trujillo and plays music by Latin music giants such as Claire Fisher, Pancho Sanchez, Chucho Valdez, and many others. Special guest Steve Wilson is a saxophonist and flautist. Are you more of a beer fan? Then perhaps head over to Central City for the Great Central City Beer Festival being held on historic Main Street from 1 to 6. Central City loves their mining history, their opera, their grumpy roots, and gambling, but most of all, they love their beer and crafting the perfect pint. Breweries have existed in Central City for over 160 years. This is truly a beer lovers' festival, with over 40 Colorado craft beers hand-picked by local Colorado breweries. There will be dozens of beer varietals to sample and test, along with some exclusive non-production varieties. Spend time getting up close and personal with brewmasters and key brewing team members. One might also run into a local author who has written 2 books about the city's obsession with beer and who never tires of talking about the subject. Of course, no festival would be complete without food and music, and this one is no different. There will be entertaining by Oxo Moxo Ah, a band with a passion for Grateful Dead music, and Jewel and the Rough, a band for those who need to dance. Several food vendors will be on site. Perhaps there might be a way to plan your day so as to make it to both festivals. Beer and wine not your thing? History more your style? Then, in lieu of the aforementioned festivals, you should head to the 35th Annual Cemetery Crawl. This year's starting point is at Central City's 100F Cemetery on Eureka Street, just above the town. The tour leaves promptly at 11. Step back and hear the stories of those who lived and died in Gilpin County and who now call one of the 11 area cemeteries home. Local history buffs portray 10 people who are among the residents of these cities of the dead, bringing them back to life. Also, look for a future podcast story where we will be going into depth about the 11 cemeteries and their inhabitants. Continue listening and find out more when this story resumes after this message.
Does talking with your teen ever feel like a game show with unpredictable twists and turns? Well, it doesn't have to be. We're pulling back the curtain and revealing winning tips for parents to take their relationship with their teen to the next level. Because a stronger bond not only keeps them healthy, but also adds more joy to your relationship. Ready to level up your parenting game? It's time to connect more. Head to forwardtogetherco.com for expert tips, videos, and guides. Build stronger connections starting today because parenting should be a winning experience.
Welcome back. Continuing our story and continuing into September, there are more upcoming events. On September 5th, take an hour-and-a-quarter tour of the Wild Bear Nature Center in Nederland. The architecture of the center is in harmony with all that the center stands for. The center's core values are education, sustainability, stewardship, and community. These values are entwined throughout the center's curriculum as a teaching implement, divulging sensations and promoting a sense of wonder about the natural world. September 14th once again provides 2 diverse activities. The Ned Trail Fest is a beautiful running event. Whether you choose the 5K, 10K, or half marathon, the journey brings you through Old Town Nederland and along dirt roads and single-track trails. This race allows you to challenge yourself while immersing you in the history and beauty of the area. In order to run, one participates in a fundraiser which directly supplies Teens Inc. Teens Inc. provides opportunities through early childhood education, in alternative high school, job training, recreation, leadership, and development programs. By the way, costumes are encouraged. Either after running or instead of, head over to the Backdoor Theater in Nederland for a night of magic and comedy put on by the Magicians Agency Theater. Award-winning magician Scott Pepper and comedy juggler and clown Kirk Marsh will keep you amazed and laughing. This energetic duo promises an extravaganza, blending magic, laughter, and awe. Scott Pepper began his career at 10 after winning a talent competition and has over 25 years of experience. He has showcased his magic on the CW network show, The Masters of Illusion. Prepare to be astounded. Kirk Marsh brings laughter when he takes the stage with his juggling, comedy, and some uncommon magic of his own. This is bound to be a fun night. Many ongoing events are also available for you to partake in. There are, of course, the art galleries, museums, hiking, casinos, and restaurants as mentioned previously, but you can also tour the Coeur d'Alene and Heidi mines or take a spin on the Carousel of Happiness. The Nederland Farmers Market, providing fresh, healthy food to every member of our community, has dates still on August 18th and September 1st, 15th, and 29th. Join Sushi Saturdays every week at Knotted Root Brewery in Nederland. Enjoy fresh sashimi from Tamaki Tornado while enjoying local craft beers. Also ongoing are historical tours in Central City. Along the way, you will get to see the famous Teller House. The Teller House opened in 1872 as a hotel and was once billed as the finest hotel west of the Mississippi. The Romanesque Revival-style building is now a restaurant and a living museum, with Victorian artifacts and furniture once belonging to Baby Doe Tabor and Governor John Evans. The Teller House is also home to the infamous face on the barroom floor. You will also see the celebrated Central City Opera House, the 5th oldest opera house in the United States. Although this year's season has ended, be on the lookout for next year's schedule. Continuing along, the Greek Revival home, called the Thomas House and built in 1867, will be a stop on the way. The house, now a museum, is rumored to be in front of the entrance of a mine. The home owned by several prominent area families, has been left largely intact as it looked when it was owned originally by the Thomas family. Another historic building that you will see is St. James Church. Once Methodist, now non-denominational, the church was dedicated in 1872 and is the oldest operating Protestant church in Colorado. Features of the church include beautiful stained glass windows, East Lake-style frescoes, and an 1898 Steer organ pipe. Aunt Clara Brown, likely the first African-American woman to come to Colorado, was instrumental in the organizing of the early church. These are just some of the historic locations you will visit. The tours begin at Washington Hall on Eureka Street, across from the Teller House, Tuesday through Sunday. Speaking of Clara Brown, the next event we will talk about will be held on September 21st. On that day, Central City will shut down the downtown area to celebrate the life and achievements of Clara Brown. Known as the Angel of the Rockies, Brown was born a slave in Virginia, was freed in Kentucky, and headed west during the Colorado Gold Rush. She acquired mining properties, houses, and other businesses in Gilpin County, and used her wealth to become a philanthropist who helped former slaves to rebuild their lives in Colorado. Activities that day will include celebrations downtown, a theatrical production at the Opera House, which is a play written about Clara's life, and a renaming of County Road to Clara Brown Way. Our final event, as summer officially transitions into fall, is a peaceful one. Cultivating the Courageous Heart is a women's retreat held in Ward and occurs September 17th through September 22nd. Primarily silent, there will be periods of sitting and walking meditation, nourishing self in nature. There will also be Dhamma talks, writing, and reflection. What an amazing way to head into the fall. Space is limited to 30. All events mentioned are just some of what you can look forward to in the coming weeks. Check online for specifics for activities you may be interested in, or look for some of them in the Mountain Ear. Pick up a copy of the newspaper or read online. As you can see, there is always something happening along the peak to peak.
Listen in next time to the Mountain Ear podcast for another mountain tale. I'm Maryann Rosen. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Maryann, for coming back and for doing this segment for us. Now, here's the current plan. We're hoping to bring Maryann back every 2 weeks or so for a new segment at this point. I don't know if I'm going to continue fitting her into my Monday slot or if I'm eventually going to slide her into my Wednesday slot, but regardless, expect a new segment from Maryann every 2 weeks. I'm really excited to continue having Maryann on the podcast, and I thank her especially this week for taking a lot of the weight off my shoulders. I hope that you guys enjoyed this segment too. If you did, please share it around by going to the mtnearpodcast.buzzsprout.com or the mtnear.com/the-mountain-ear-podcast to share this episode or others with whoever you see fit. And if you're interested in being on the podcast yourself as an interviewee or for advertising purposes, then be sure to let me know by emailing me at media@themountaineer.com and we'll get something sorted for you. We'll see you again, Maryann, in about 2 weeks' time, and be sure to come back on Wednesday for the next retrospective edition of the Mountaineer Podcast.
across the street, there's people I should meet, but I'd rather sit in my head. There's a pretty girl.
The song that you are currently listening to is the dumb version of Dumb, Drunk, and Anxious, originally released in the titular EP, but now released as part of Derek Dames Oll's debut album, Someday I'll Be Happy and Rule This World of Mine. You can stream both releases wherever you get your music now, and be sure to check out more of Derek Dames Oll by going to his website at derekdamesollmusic, MUZAK.com, or by going to his Instagram, Derek Dames Oll Music, his Facebook, Derek Dames Oll Music, or his YouTube, Derek Dames Oll. You can also see more performances of his on the YouTube channels for Through the Fence, Elevated Entertainment, and Netherland Community Library. And you can even check him out live in the Peak to Peak area very soon, because he's coming to Busey Brews, located at 70 East 1st Street in Netherland, on Sunday, September 1st, 2024, starting at 2 p.m.
Should have called my mom, I should tell her things went wrong. Lord, I hope she knows I tried. And I still dream of rain coming flooding down the plain, and I'm rowing my boat gently while I sing. Well, I'm screaming, why must I cry? Why must I always follow the rain? 'Cause now I'm done.
And that's it for our show. Subscribe online to get more access to more news, weekly updates to our community calendar, and a link to our YouTube channel by visiting themountaineer.com. Be sure to use the coupon code PODCAST when subscribing for a 10% discount, only available to our listeners. If you are in the local Peak to Peak area, be sure to pick up a print edition of The Mountaineer at a local business. I'm Dango Rose. Thank you for listening.